Hmm. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone, to Leprechaun Alley. Thank you for joining us or watching us when you're able. I deeply appreciate it. And yep, today Michael is taking a little break. Actually, give me one second. I'll be right back. So, okay. Well, my name is Carrie, and sometimes we introduce ourselves using our birth name seed syllable. So if you've heard me say my name is Ray Carey Perillo, that comes from one of the services that we provide. Your birth syllable, your seed syllable, is based on your time of birth, the nakshatra that you're born, your moon is located in, and the pada, which there are four, which just mean feet. So if you like what you hear here, please like and subscribe. Uh, and if you want private readings, you can click on the link below to book a reading. So it's impossible to not watch the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial playing out. And by the way, this is for entertainment purposes only. The What's coming out now is it's consistent with their signs now. So we've heard Amber testify, and I did say for entertainment purposes only. Just want to make sure we did hear Amber testify, and what she describes is with there's like a lot of mind games that were going on, or a lot of when people really get into each other's hair, there's a different forms of manipulation. You're always getting your pound of flesh out of someone, or going sideways at them. Uh, so yeah, so he definitely has been toying with her. That's definitely something that cats do. Are they can, you know, they play with their prey, they torture their prey. Uh, but that wouldn't I certainly don't wanna frame anyone as a predator. That's not my intention. Um, there's something that I've noted also is sometimes because the water signs, so he's year of the cat and he's born in the year of water. Additionally, the cat corresponds to Pisces. So I will find sometimes when we get into these situations with water signs that there might be some competition for men who identify as male. There's some type of competition actually going on for attention, and um, they tend to not, if they're going in more of a malevolent direction, they tend to not want, um, they don't particularly care for traditional roles, or there can be some type of competition and jealousy that happens regarding the partner. Um, and I just I could hear, actually, I identify a lot with some of the things that Amber was saying, and It's I'm thinking about it. It's such a mess, and it's really, in so many ways, heartbreaking to watch. I appreciate that they are going through this and in a very public way. And always, if our attention is going to be drawn to something, the ideal would be to extract from it where the highest good would come, or what their experiences are and what the conflicts are, and really what has happened in their relationship is something that a lot of people can identify with. And you throw substances in there, and of course, this is a profession where you have to be front and center, you have to be a star. There's a certain way that you have to orient and behave as a star, and all of those all of those pressures tend to erode the normal bonds, the standard typical bonds of individuals in relationships. There's competition that goes on, there's jealousy that goes on. Uh, there's sort of a it's like a block, or there's something preventing them from seeing the full scope of what they're dealing with. And even as crazy as it sounds, th- the element of love and sincerity and openness, open-heartedness was there in the relationship off and on. Uh, my sense, and now Amber is 36 years old. My sense is, especially if she'd been out on her own at the age of 17, um, she would she doesn't have as much experience as Johnny does. This is important. Uh, was she around 23, I think, when they got together? So she's had unusual relationships, at a young age, when she has different ideals, different ambitions. Uh, honestly, that's an age where people are developing themselves and growing. And I really notice a lot, when people do get married young, right out of high school. We don't see that as common now. Uh, that would actually, that's kind of rare, but they get married young or right out of high school, or they're with their high school sweetheart. And sometimes, people don't evolve in the relationship. Change is the only constant. So there has to be something for us in our toolkit to adjust and confront the possibility of change. And what can happen a lot of times too is because the relationship began so young, there can be a tendency to identify with youth, with younger things, um, and not grow, become complacent. That happens too. Um, and obviously, Johnny's twice her age, and there's no problem with that because, I have a similar situation. Um, and He knew the ropes. He's been through his own breakups, and he was far more and is far more experienced than Amber. It's well, and so we're going to be with the 23-year-old. She's going to have her own desires. She's going to have her own ambitions. She's going to want to grow. So there has to be some expectation of growth and change in a relationship. And you do have to make a lot of concessions with someone who comes from a different generation than you do, that, even I'm thinking that, oh, yes, and by the way, we are taking astrology readings or astrology requests. Just give us your birthday. Well, I guess just give me your birthday and the year that you were born, and we'll deliver a reading for you based on anything that you want. It can be somebody you love, it can be for you, it can be your dog, it can be your house, so whatever it is, or maybe it was a day that you opened a business. That's what we're here to do, along with just random conversation, things that kind of come up, and share, and we want to share our thoughts on it. And always, please, if there is anything that you're interested in discussing or have curiosity about, just post in the comments below, and we'll take a look at it and respond. So, yeah, so if while Johnny has issues with substance abuse or alleged issues with substance abuse, what we're going to see, of course, is a natural arrestment of everyone's development and everyone's evolution. I mean, both of these individuals are quite salvageable, if that makes sense. I don't really like referring to people like that, but we're really seeing a dynamic play out that happens in a lot of homes, in a lot of places. Um, and well, and it's not healthy, but and I'm not making it okay, but it's more common than we really realize, that we're led to believe. And what that does is put us in a position to think that there isn't resolve for the relationship. As soon as we start throwing terms, as soon as we start fanning the flames, that's when that's when the relationship falls apart. That's when we have lost our ability to problem solve and have now distanced ourselves even further by criminalizing or dehumanizing someone in some way. It's it's a conversation stopper. There's no way to move forward. So our perception and our perspective, we have to shift. We have to find more forgiveness. Right now, we've just been inundated with so many terms and ideas, and also when we're discussing depression or mental illnesses or some type of disorder, whether it's long term or temporary, we need to have a view that is ready to problem solve. And we need to learn the rules. We need to learn boundaries. I just would love so much for middle school students and high school students to kind of take like maybe a unit in one of their classes just to practice being receptive and open and listening to other people and generating ideas for how to resolve conflict. Because we're so inundated with all of these terms, what's happened in the general population is that the frailties are being weaponized against them. So it hampers our ability to be able to make our own decisions. It hampers our ability to make to be much more discerning with more clarity. It's There are things that we need to address and things we need to confront, but and not make excuses for it, but place ourselves in a position where we can start a dialogue, where love can flow, where a little by little, the little walnut is just starting to open and reveal itself. Once you get through that, once you get past that, it's remarkable. It's elevating. And the sense of completeness and the reward once we get through it is so worth it. Yeah. Oh, hi, Pravalika. Hi, how are you? Welcome, and thanks for joining me. So, if you would like, I do live astrology readings combining Western and Chinese astrology. So, if you would like, I can give you an astrology reading, or you can just hang out and join the conversation and talk about whatever you'd like to talk about if you have questions. So, thank you so much again. So yeah, I just I don't need to use all the time to talk about them, but it really is something to think about. It's We're so much at each other's throat, and now we're finally out of the Kali Sarpa yoga, so we're not so bunched in and piled on top of each other. So Pravalika, what all I need is your just your day of birth and year. And that's the approach that we take. That's Western and terrestrial Chinese astrology. So go ahead and give me your birthday in the comments, and I'm more than happy to oblige. So yeah, so mostly just I look. Oh, November 21st. Am I reading that right? 2003. Oh, good grief. I have to check and see. I gotta check and see what time the sun entered Sagittarius. Haha. So, okay, so I'll do a quick look. When did the sun enter Sagittarius? in 2003. And by the way, you are born. Oh, career. Okay. Okay. So give me one moment and that's a good question. How'd we do? So you're still, oh, good. Oh, fantastic. You're actually still, it's still Scorpio. So if you thought that your sun sign was Sagittarius, and I'm suspecting you're probably familiar with Jodish, I don't do that live. I do the Western and the Chinese combination live, but I will be reading for different individuals in another program using Jodish. So so you are stillborn in the sign of Scorpio, and the year is year of the goat or year of the what is going on here? Year of the sheep. Okay. So your natural element is fire. The natural element of the goat is fire. Um, but your year is water. So there's you have a natural tendency to be very stubborn and rebellious, but because your year is water, you're going to have a tendency to run. You want things to move along very quickly. And Scorpio corresponds to year of the pig or year of the boar. So these are complementary. So you have this, wow, Scorpio, gosh. So year of the goat. So let's talk about, well, first of all, let me tell you that the reason that I know that the element for the year that you're born is, and some of my favorite people were born in 2003, by the way. It was a good year. So in with the terrestrial astrology, or the Chinese astrology, what we have is we have the natural element for the animals, and then we also have an element that corresponds to each year of the decade. So 0 and 1, like the year 2000, that would be the metal dragon. So that's a metal element. 2001, that's going to be the metal snake. My dad is a metal snake, very good dad. And oh, and so then the next you go to 2002, and that's water. That's a water horse. And 2003, that's you, water goat or water sheep. The reason I say those is because if you're from India, you probably understand. There are glyphs. The glyph for the sheep and the goat are the same in Vietnam and China. So they're interchangeable, and we can kind of work with the nature of the animals that we're most familiar with. That gives us a lot of flexibility to have a conversation and connect. So, wow. And you're so young and you are already worried about your career. Are you in college now? Are you in college already? Oh, gosh, I want so much to go there. I bet you hear that all the time. Listen, it really does feel like the center of the universe. That's the oldest astrology, the oldest literature, incredible. So, oh, good. I'm so glad to hear it. Fantastic. Well, listen, as a Scorpio, you're going to be very organized and very disciplined. It might actually kind of frustrate you because your mind is very disciplined, and but sometimes, so the way that this works in this combination is, and internally the inductive mind, your heart, in there you're a goat. So you have an incredible sensitivity, and I always joke and say goats don't get mad, they get even. um, very loyal. very concerned about where things are going to go, very concerned that everyone's needs are being met. Um, there's definitely a sense of order. There's definitely a sense that you want to be connected um, to other human beings. There's a humanity to you. And at the same time, there's a little rebellious streak. The grass is greener on the other side. Kind of have a little fun, get into a little trouble. So for the career, honestly, well, law would be good for you. Uh, I would actually, I would actually have to do a deep dive more into your individual Jodish chart. It's easier for me to look for careers through that lens. I guess that's really where I started. Um, I don't know why I was in the middle of New Mexico and I met my fabulous Jodish astrology teacher and said, "Gosh, that's what I should learn." But I also learned Western, all of, the three systems, and there's a lot more that I need to learn. So I would say from this combination, from this angle, honestly, you really belong in a leadership role. You're you're consistent, you're fixed. The Scorpio is fixed. So you have a way to focus and pay attention and stick to what you're doing. And at the same time, you're able to have a lot of fun. You can still goof off. I don't know if you've ever watched baby goats, but they're completely delightful and they're very smart and they're very funny. Um, so you can see them leaping. You should just go watch videos of goats leaping. You'll appreciate it. Also, you're very competitive, big for the goat, extremely competitive because internally what drives you is the need to um, manage, not really, well, I guess you could say with Scorpio, maybe control, but you really manage resources. How are they going to come to you? Where do you want to send them? How do you want to prioritize them? So, honestly, the medical field is good. I really hope, what I really love about this combination, it's so beautiful. By the way, George Harrison, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was one of the Beatles. He I, th- he is deceased now, but he is also a water goat. So he's a beautiful man, incredibly compassionate, devoted, loyal, an incredible legacy. So we know that you're pretty fantastic. Um, so I keep wanting to say working in human services in some capacity, but I would say that you could be you would be very good at being in charge. And maybe you should become a doctor or go into medical, or maybe you can go into the administrative aspect of hospitals or something along those lines. Is something that's humanitarian and fits your unique niche. Uh, at the same time, oh, why you being in charge would be a good idea is because you're already built to distribute. It's like a river. So you're already built for it. Um, there are so many careers out there. The most important part for you is that you're in a position where you can employ strategy because you're very strategic. And I really deeply hope for you in all of this that you're also a musician, that you sing, that you dance, that you play an instrument that is going to fill your soul your entire life. So I hope that you embrace music in some way. It's just so perfect for the goat, so talented. Um, I don't I don't know if you're familiar with American performers, but there are a lot of people, born in 1943, which is 60 years, and why is this important? Because there's 5 elements, 12 signs, and, every 12 years, the sign repeats, and every 60 years, the sign and the element repeat. So for us, we had Jim Morrison was born that year, Keith Richards, they're all superstar bands. Um, oh, and also there's this incredibly deeply humanitarian man who's a doctor, named Gabor Mate, who does presentations on like the anatomy of grief. And of course, he's talking about the metaphysical properties. And we know that mantras heal. That's what they're for. So yeah, so he was a Holocaust survivor, and and he's a medical doctor, and he devoted his life to helping addicts and really humanity. So I'm in the presence of somebody very sweet. Uh, what were you thinking of? What were you think? And I have to put my reading glasses on. Okay. Yeah. What are you thinking of in terms of your career? What would you like to do? What's speaking to you? And do you have an option to make that decision, or are other people making that decision for you? Although I can't imagine you allowing it being a goat. So, uh, well, what else would I wanna share? Oh! Oh gosh. And I just oh, sweetheart, you're already in your dharma. You go. That's fantastic. So, of course, we wanna have the maximum amount of benefit to the maximum amount of people. So, did you have anything specific in mind? Like maybe you wanna specialize in neurology or ophthalmology, or did you have anything more in mind that you were thinking of? Oh, by the way, Scorpio rules the genitals. It rules the reproductive organs. So you would be very good in terms of helping people, um, with issues and reproductive issues. That would be awesome, and you would be so good with kids. Oh my god! And pardon me. Do you mind me asking? Because I just want to refer to you correctly. How do you identify in gender? Because I don't want to misspeak. Um, wow, that's nice. Scorpio goat. Just remember, here's the thing that's really important. Okay, sweetheart. I was thinking that, and my apologies. I'm ignorant that I don't understand I speak Spanish and I learned Lakota too, but I don't know the genders of the names. So I need to start studying maybe a little Hindi and Malayalam. Mm. So, oh gosh, this is so exciting. So, as a Scorpio, I just really want to recommend, don't be hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. I know when you feel crushed, there's a tendency to come in and attack yourself. Also, because your year is water, criticism can be difficult for you. Um, and I don't like when people say give people a hard time because they're sensitive to criticism. I think that's just ridiculous. Like, if you're sensitive to criticism, I can make some adjustments so we can be friends. That's how that's supposed to be. But it's because you're water year, and what happens is when someone criticizes you, it's like you feel soiled, like embarrassed. And I can appreciate that a little bit because I'm a metal dog. And the what happens, right? Metal becomes water. That's how that whole transition works. And I become really embarrassed if I make a mistake. So I have some anxiety and myself, and I get, nervous. And so when we go to the water, it's a little bit more profound. You feel soiled, and you sort of have to go retreat and kind of figure out what you can do. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. Oh, when you're so young. So we still have dad in the picture, right? You know what, sweetheart? You have, I hope that you know what this means. You have so much tenacity. You can stick to it. You will heal. I can't even really say the pain lessens. I can't, we learn to process it better. But what does happen is we have these beautiful memories, and we can we can get to a place where the memories and the love and the musing and the thoughts, oh, I wish you were here, oh, she would really love this, that that memory starts to fill you again. It starts to give you new place, new growth. And by the way, the goat corresponds to Cancer in the Western zodiac, which represents growth. And it also represents the primordial mother. So, but you don't have kids right now, but you might be a little more like, do what I say, not what I do kind of situation. Like, no, that's okay for you, but I'm going to do this. And I don't want to hear I don't want to hear about it. I don't need to your criticism. I don't need nothing. Aw, she is in a better place. Well, you know what's so interesting too, though, is that I don't know what to call it, but the best thing I can describe is there's just a veil. And you being from India, I'm sure you really understand this. Um, they're with us all the time. They're next to us all the time. They're around us all the time. And it's just that we're here to build up ourselves spiritually to the degree that we're able to lift the veil. And Look at you going to school, going to become a doctor. It's it's just another austerity. It's just another practice. That's all it is. And that's probably why so many people from India are extraordinarily brilliant because you have so much structure and so much practice and so much information around you that you can take anything and incorporate it. So, what the goat also, they have a tendency to retreat, especially if they're injured. So this is something that it's just time. It's just a matter of time. And we just adjust to a new normal and a new system. But they're with us all of the time. Pravalika, was my pleasure, and thank you so much for coming. If there's any topics that you feel like talking about that you think are interesting, you're more than welcome to introduce them. We really just wanted this part of our channel to be about a meet and greet and like we just walked into a restaurant and became friends with people. So I always want to make sure that everyone knows that they're invited. And in the comments below too, if something comes up, just leave a request in the comments and I'll address it. So, what I've been doing the last couple of shows is we were really trying to look at people with that have been diagnosed or oh my, kitty got me diagnosed with mental illnesses, and I really want to find a different phrasing for that because it just doesn't work. So what I had done is I just made a list of a few people and that had been openly diagnosed. And so we talked about we talked Wednesday about this beautiful young woman that committed suicide. And now we're going to we're going to move on to Leonardo DiCaprio. Probably most people, I mean, I'm not the most savvy in pop culture. If I know about it, it's incidental to research that I'm doing. But I really like this guy, and he was born. By the way, this will be fun for you because Leonardo DiCaprio was born November 11th, 1974. He is a Scorpio as well, and he's year of the wood tiger. Remember, because 3 and 4, I'm sorry, 4 and 5, 4 and 5 is wood. So he was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder. So, Miss Scorpio, I bet you could probably appreciate that Scorpions can become a little obsessive at times, especially if they're disappointed and they're attacking themselves, criticizing themselves. You're stupid, you're dumb. Don't do that. It's not necessary. You're beautiful. So, so we have that going on. And the tiger, again, with him, the tiger has fear of the unknown. So the practice of counting, or he walks through doorways back and forth a few different times. It's odd. It's an odd ritual. Um, something what I'm gonna say, I really should pull up his chart because I think there's something wonky with Mercury maybe in his chart going on. So I'm going to take a quick look and see if I can. I don't know how to pull this up yet. I'm going to figure that out. I know I keep saying that, but it does take time to develop this. So let's see if I can get him. Hmm. Ah, there's an article from the New York Post that says Leonardo DiCaprio's birth chart shows why he's irresistible. That's not helpful. Let's find. I want the chart. Is it? Ah, much better. Okay, so let's see if I guessed right. Because I'm guessing that there's something kind of funky going on. Something kind of funky going on with his Mercury. And especially because also fixed signs. Wow. Holy buckets. Almost. He has a really heavy ascendant and first and loaded with planets. My goodness. Well, clearly look at him. He's a star. Uh, but I want to look at his Mercury. Well, Mercury, yeah, Mercury. Mercury is in Libra in his ascendant. And let's see what else is going on. So he has, oh, yeah, he has Pluto, the moon, and Mercury in his first house. So right there, you have the mind, you have both versions of the mind in the first house in Libra, which is an air sign. And there's a lot of back and forth that goes on with Libra because Libra's always trying to balance the scales. We tend to think of them as balanced people, but that's not really true because, I mean, they can be, don't get me wrong. They're great. Libras are great. Um, but what they're always doing, and remember they're a cardinal sign, so they have to be doing something, they have to be in forward motion. So they're always rectifying a situation. They're always looking for a problem to rectify. And that's how they're composed. That's who they are. So I can, yeah. And let's see how much, well, with Pluto in the first house, my goodness. So, there's power, uh, very deep. Um, this is someone who is very deep and connected. And now he has, oh, let's see. I want to see, I got to look at these angles. I can't really read this. It's the chart. It won't let me make it bigger, but let's see if I can. Okay. Oh, yeah. His Mercury is conjunct Uranus. Oh, the poor guy. That'll do it. Mercury conjunct Uranus. So you have the planet of communication, um, of short trips in conjunction with a planet of revolution. So, yeah, so it's all pretty intense for him. So I can definitely see where there would be OCD there. So what he would have to do, what he really has to learn to do, and he does have a Libra ascendant in Western astrology, is analyze himself from a different perspective. Yeah, kind of give it a different framing, um, and just work with the way that he's powerful, and just work with the way that he is revolutionary and actually kind of a pill and very charming at the same time. So that it is OCD is incredibly uncomfortable. It really is. I mean, I had my own issues with like constant racing thoughts all the time, and it's awful. I just wanted it to stop. So, and I do have some ways to do that. And the other thing is OCD. Scorpios are precision animals. They like precision. They want things to be done correctly. Um, they prefer to be treated with respect. I know all people do, but they really take it to heart if they aren't. So that very interesting. Now this I thought was really interesting. Uh, Now Paula Dean, and so I don't know. I think the people that hang out with me here probably know who she is. She's still famous. Um, she has agoraphobia and panic attacks. She was born January 19th, 1947. She still falls in with the 1946 group because the first new moon had not occurred yet when she was born in that year. So she would be a Capricorn fire dog. And you want to know something crazy to make some comparisons? You know who else was a Capricorn fire dog? David Bowie. So, and you can look at them and go, "What? No way!" Right? Like it's night and day. She's a Southern belle. She's cooks with butter. Um, but here again, I can see. Oh, and I just also wanted to say, yeah, regarding just quickly with Leonardo DiCaprio, that wood tiger. So this is interesting. The wood years have to look out for um, holding too much stress. And you know something very interesting is, and because once wood has too much stress, it will break. It could just combust. It could just turn into fire. And you know, if you've ever heard of the ringing cedars of Russia, and Pravalika, if you get time, that is a really good series for you to read. With Anastasia's the first book, but the Siberian cedar trees, apparently, when they're going to change forms or die, or when they've expired, they explode if somebody doesn't chop them down. And what they do is they start making a noise, so you can hear a noise. So If there's, nobody in the area, it is what it is, but, if there's somebody around, then they'll go and they'll cut the tree down if it's making that noise because it can be pretty destructive. So that's an aside. Anyway, so Paula Deen Leonardo DiCaprio, the tiger has fear of the unknown. That's what that's about. Um, and with the OCD, what it does is it keeps generating unknown scenarios. So he's getting all of this unknown feedback, and that's when they get nervous. And so then you get this crazy ritual situation going on. So, okay, Paula Deen. Now, agoraphobia and panic attacks. I that makes sense. And she's as a Capricorn, year of the dog, she's works very hard to serve her fans, her family, and she has a lot of people to answer to. So I when in general, when dogs have a lot of masters, I'm talking really energetically, like they wanna serve, and they're very yesy. So, they start serving and they start serving, and then they become overwhelmed, and, uh, there can be a sense of disorder and an inability to be able to prioritize because you're overwhelmed with all of the information and all the people that you wanna serve and take care of. Um, and then the Capricorn, I just I just think she really did well for herself. They want upward mobility. They want to see things move forward. They want things to become elevated. They are responsible. So, wow, that's interesting. And she is a very, very friendly, personable person. I guess she was a little controversial. Um, she's she hasn't quite fully gotten dialed into uh, the year 2022 yet, but I'm here's hoping. Here's hoping that that transformation will take place. So let's see, what time are we at? Oh, okay. So another person dearly loved and unbelievably talented, Karen Carpenter, anorexia nervosa. So she had an eating disorder, and she was born March 2nd, 1950. And isn't that something? March 2nd is Pisces, and 1950 is year of the metal tiger. So here again, you know, something very interesting that can happen to Aquarians or tigers is that they're they're not really slow. They appear to be slow, but they're always integrating and processing and evaluating information. So they do this so much that they can bring themselves to a state where they're depressed, but they don't know it, at least not right away. So, and that's difficult because it's a fixed position. And that's where and both of these are, the underlying for example, Leonardo DiCaprio is a tiger, right? He's a 1974 tiger. The underlying scenario for both of them is anxiety. And again, it's fear of the unknown. So with the Pisces, oh, I can really see it's such a deep sign. And there's such a quest to clear up illusions, to bring clarity to life. There's such a disposition to do that. Um, and in the process of trying to work all of that out, she lost her life. Beautiful woman, a beautiful talent. Um, yeah, and we'll honor her, and many hopefully people will also learn from her story and her experience. Another one, which I think is fantastic. I Okay, it's not fantastic to have discomfort emotionally and mentally, but knowing that these people are facing this and dealing with this too makes me like them more. So Ozzy Osbourne, bipolar disorder, bam. You know, whenever I see Sharon, his wife. Oh, and he was born, I should tell you when he was born, right? December 3rd. He's my Sag brother, 1948, year of the rat. So, and that's year of the earth rat. So he's month of the rat, year of the rat. And rats like to play and dance and scamper and party and just be crazy. They also love their family. They love getting together. They'll do anything for their family. I just think, I have I have an uncle also who's a Sagittarius rat. He's born the same year. His birthday is December 2nd, though. Um, and he, they didn't diagnose him. I'm originally from South Dakota, so like that kind of thing in the 70s, like forget it. So he definitely had attention deficit disorder or ADHD when he was a kid, and he was doing crazy stuff, jumping on the bed, falling, like breaking windows. I mean, jumping on the bed isn't crazy, but he's, just a daredevil and reckless and thoughtless. Sagittarians have that tendency anyway, and then you just poured a little more fuel on that fire. So yeah, he was always, my grandpa was beside himself, I guess, and didn't really know what to do with him. And he's just a delightful, cheerful person all at the same time. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that. I knew something was up with Ozzy. I didn't really know what. And the reason that I did is because Sharon is incredibly nurturing. And I noticed that she manages, she helps him manage. And when she speaks, listening to her on, I think it's what is it, Talk on CBS. And she's not on there anymore, but she was, and she has such an elegant way of viewing the world. She she's very open-hearted and very comfortable doing what needs to be done to help Ozzy. So, and there's something in her demeanor that tells me that she coordinates everything at home to set it up so that everybody's comfortable and triggers are managed. And she seems to do that with a lot of class and elegance. So, but it is really distinct in her how she's very managey, um, but in the most beautiful, loving way. So Ozzy Osbourne has done some pretty crazy stuff. He bit the head off a bat, which really upsets me. That poor little bat. He's, partied like a crazy person. He's, I think, oh no, that was Alice Cooper or something. They were being disgusting at a bowel movement on stage or something crazy like that. So, yeah, he's a little off his rocker. Very talented, super cool guy, deep. But he also plays a caricature, and that's kind of the bipolar spectrum too. Uh, so that's really interesting. And look at this. So next, there are quite a few bipolars, and interesting enough, um, fire signs, at least the ones that I came across. I can't. I mean, I couldn't say it wouldn't be correct to say that it's more fire signs because obviously the sampling I'm looking at is extremely biased because I'm looking at famous people who have who are have diagnosed with mental illnesses. Um, so next is Larry Flint, also very scandalous. We know about him and Hustler and his campaign against censorship. And yes, he was in the pornography business. He is bipolar as well. Or that's what the site said. His birthday, April 10th, 1930. Wow. So that year, he is an Aries and he's year of the horse. So you got that fire sign energy in there already. So you already know that someone's ready to go, especially if you're an Aries. Ugh. And then 1930 is year of the metal horse. And I believe that's also the year that Clint Eastwood was born. So so the horse would correspond to Gemini. And this would be interesting because it's even though it's really the horse in his heart and his inductive mind, he the challenge that Geminis, which is month of the horse or horses have, is that they have a lot of back and forth going on in their heads. They're thinking about what they like and what they don't like at the same time. They also want to run free. They don't want to be tied down. Um, but they have an incredible sense of justice and fairness at the same time. As a matter of fact, horses and dogs make good friends. It's common to see a lot of dog and horse friendships. Uh, and then with Aries, you know, I don't know the full story of Larry Flint. But I think what's so interesting is the Aries, they go full speed ahead. And he, this man, I guess he's in a wheelchair, um, was a force and had a vision and went after it. So it's very interesting because also what happens is the symptoms, if they're present and there are other people there to witness it, by default, um, the people around them, if they know, will manage. They'll start to manage, whatever's going on around them, and somewhere in the middle of the soup of all of this, managing the bipolar person or just kind of keeping them grounded, and the creative ways that we have to come up with to help them stay grounded and kind of be able to think quick on our feet, all of that process inadvertently ends up creating art and talent, or that he made not a fan of Hustler. I'm just saying, not my thing, but he was such a force uh, against censorship, and he has done very well, and he continues to champion. I think, oh Jesus, he is still alive, or did he? I'm not. I don't remember on that. Sorry, Larry. Okay. And you know what? We are at about 3:30 right now. So I think we'll end with Larry Flint, and we will see you Monday. And as always, all our love and travel light.